Namaste, good evening. This is Dr. Aparna. I am an Ayurvedic Neuro-Psychotherapist, a passionate Ayurveda and psychotherapy, neuroscience, Bhagavad Gita infopreneur. I have voiced my pursuit as global neuro mind Veda. So, today we are going to discuss about all these wild from past week. I've been hearing about this 90-hour work week controversy, which actually arose from the comments made by L&T chairman S N Subrahmanyan, suggesting employees should work up to 90 hours per week, so including Sundays, to maintain competitiveness. And he also gave the reason of nation building. So I am here to express my views. People were asking me to talk about it because I am a mental health professional, and please talk about it, please talk about it. I was kind of avoiding the topic, but today I'm here to express my views. So I say, as a medical mental health practitioner and a medical practitioner, we have worked n number of most of the people who study md residents. They have worked almost 70 hours, 48 to 70 hours at a stretch, and 24 hours is the very normal for them. But I would say this overworking, what happens is, when any human, it could be the overworking, what happens, it hampers physical health and mental health, and it has a detrimental, it has detrimental effects. So I would say it is not ideal. And I have I would explain why this is not ideal. I'm here to explain with one of my examples. So, when I just completed my final year of medical education, so when we complete that, we have to do a 365 days of compulsory rotatory internship. That is for 1 year. We have to do it, and I was posted for in a this thing government hospital to do that, because I am a student of government hospital, so we were posted to government hospital. So there was a lot of exposure. And the incident which I'm talking about is when I was posted to obstetrics and gynecology, which is a very busy department and in the government hospital. So what happened was, that day usually we work till, it is said that we have to work from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day for 365 days. We had no leave in the internship except for Sundays. So what happened was, that day when I came usually as to at 8 a.m. and was supposed to leave by 4 p.m., the gynecologist I was working with, the obstetrician, told me, today you have to do at least 24 hours to 36 hours. She didn't tell me exactly. She just told me it could stretch from 24 hours to 36 hours. But what happened was, it extended up to 40 hours. So what we did was, this was my first time doing that long. So I had previously done 24-hour shifts, but 36 hours or 40 hours for the first time I was doing. What we did was, if there were so many cases of normal deliveries in the morning, we completed rounds, we did the normal deliveries. We I was at the normal deliveries section in the government hospital, and then we went to, and we operated some cases, but there were 6 or 7 cases lined up at night as well, because there were pre planned for cesarean section. Some emergency cases came in, so there were 7 cases at night, C section. So what we did was, we began it, the obstetrician began it, I was just assisting her, I was learning. So it began from night 8:30 p.m. till it extended up to 1:30 a.m. midnight. So what happened was, see, when it came to an end at 1:30 a.m., the consultant told me that you go to the ward, you just complete the procedural notes and the case sheet of these 7 cases, and what you do is, you go to, you take rest for 1 or 2 hours, and then come back sharp at 8 a.m. in the morning. And she said that to me, and she went to the doctor's room to take rest at 1:30. What happened was, I came to the ward. I came to the ward just to complete these 7 cases which we had operated at night. So I asked the sister for to give me the case files. She brought me, you will not believe, she brought me a pile of, like, it was not even it was all full, and the table was full with the files. There were 28 files which needed to be completed, like writing the case history, writing the normal delivery notes, episiotomy and all. So I asked, "What is this? I asked you only for 7 files, and you're giving me a pile of 28 files which were not fitting the table." I had to tell her to remove half of the files and keep it on the floor. So what she said was, "These many births have happened today under the doctor you were working." So there were 28 births that happened in a span of like 12 to 13 hours, for one doctor, because there were 5 to 6 gynecologists and obstetricians. They were taking up cases, and the OPD of today was the OPD of the doctor I was working with. So I started writing without, believe me, without having enough food. I had bought only one dabba, which finished in the afternoon, and after the OT, I had only an idli, which did not fill me up, and I was completely exhausted with only tiny amount of food. And then I started writing the case sheets from 1:30 a.m. till 7:30 a.m. I have written continuously, and still there was one or two case sheets remaining. Continuously I've written, and the doctor told me to take rest for an hour or two, take a nap for an hour or two, which did not happen. And morning I was just shivering. My pen got over and I had to borrow sister's pen. Her pen got over. I was writing and writing. I had never written so much. I've never written so much in the examinations as well, because it used to be 3 or 3.5 hours exams. So, what happened is, I was completely exhausted. By the time we went for rounds, and by the time, senior sister saw me, I was just in the survival mode. Like, ye kab khatam ho aur kab main ghar jaऊं. I was in that mode. So after that also, I had to stay till 12 p.m. to do the rounds, and write the notes, daily notes, review notes. And I had to leave. I left by 12:15 p.m. And she said, "Okay, you can go now." So that was a thing. Next is, what happens is, it is not that we have not worked for such long hours. So what is, we have worked for 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours, and some doctors, I have not done that, but some doctors have worked even for 72 hours at a stretch. But do we want to do this? No, absolutely no. Because I never wanted to do this long, because it has, if it continues, it has detrimental effects on mental health and physical health. So, this was my example. I'll give you an example of a consultant. So, what happened was, once I was, after my internship, after my registration, what I did was, I joined a corporate hospital, a big 150 bedded hospital. So I was working as a resident medical doctor. We were called physician assistant resident doctors. So because we are from the other pati, we are from Ayurveda. I was practicing both Ayurveda and allopathy, because Ayurveda mein we didn't get so much money, and it would not suffice my expenses, and I had to give it to my family, so it wouldn't suffice. So I worked both. So when I was working with nephrologist, so a nephrologist was there in the ward. What happened was, he came to rounds at 7 a.m. regularly as they come. He on a silly, simple issue, he shouted on the sister very badly in front of the patient. And after that, we were like, we were surprised, why is he shouting for such a silly reason? What happened was, after 1 or 2 minutes, he realized that he did wrong. I have not seen such doctors who realize, come back and apologize. He actually apologized to the sister in front of the patient and relatives, because what happens is, when the doctors do that, do shout or do disrespect sisters or nurses, what happens is, patients also don't trust the sisters, and they also start disrespecting or disregarding the nurses. So maybe these people are not like that. So what he did was, he came and apologized. What he said was, see, I couldn't get any sleep last night. I was just overworked. There was a such an issue, so I shouted on you. So he apologized, and then we went with the medical head of medical services, and then we were having breakfast. He explained, like, to us, he was talking to, absolutely, he was talking to head of medical services, his friend, so who was supposed to be a doctor, and his friend, he was telling her. Then I what had happened was, he yesterday he came, he did a shift. He's a famous nephrologist, and he has done many of the kidney transplant. What happened was, he promised his wife and children to, he'll come back early, and he will, at 8 p.m. there was some issue, something going on in their house or school event. So he, until he reached home from clinic, it was already 12:30. He couldn't go on time. He went 5 or 6 hours late, and his wife was handling everything all alone. She is also full time working, and she was handling everything, so they had an argument. So what happened was, that argument and that restlessness, it led to, the frustration and his mental health, not being, he was not so very sound at that moment. He's a very famous doctor. He has done many renal implants. So my point is that it is very important to have a family time, to spend time with your, what he said, don't stare at your spouses. You have to spend time with your spouses and your children and family, and, you know also get good rest. Only then your mental health is, could be, will be at its peak. Physical health and mental health at its peak. It is not that. And also, after reaching so late, he got 2 or 3 calls, which were, in middle of the nights at 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., and again he had to come at 7 a.m. So what happens is, if a person works this long and without rest, what happens is, there is decreased productivity, there is fatigue, there is burnout, there is impaired cognitive function as well sometimes. So imagine this doctor operating that renal transplant that day. Would you want to undergo a renal transplant if the doctor is so stressed, and he had not had any rest, and he's so worked up? So what happens is, whether it is a doctor, or whether it is, any professional. I am a doctor, so I'm speaking for them. So what happens is, people argue, that working for long hours leads to increased productivity. But research search the stat suggests the opposite. Studies have shown that working beyond 50 to 55 hours per week can actually decrease productivity due to fatigue, burnout, impaired cognitive function. In fact, many companies have found that shorter work weeks, such as the 4-day work week, can lead to increased productivity and employee satisfaction. So, furthermore, excessive work hours have a significant negative impact on physical and mental health. So this could include increased risk of heart attacks, stroke. We recently heard about Anna, who was a chartered accountant. If I correct me if I'm wrong, and because of the workload, she was she died because of the workload. Allegedly died because of the workload. So this happens. A 26 years old Anna. So, and what is this, what also physical health consequences, what all might happen is increased risk of heart disease, stroke, weakened immunity, because of sitting. It could be obesity, musculoskeletal problems. Main thing is sleep deprivation, anxiety, depression, burnout, relationship strain, and all these. So prioritizing, so integrating work with your life, I would not say work life balance, because